The glittering world of Hollywood often presents a flawless facade, a seamless tapestry of perfect smiles, mesmerizing gazes, and seemingly effortless grace that captivates millions of viewers around the globe. We look at the stars of the silver screen and television with a sense of wonder, frequently convinced that they were simply born under a lucky star, blessed with an aesthetic perfection that mere mortals could only dream of achieving. Yet, behind the bright studio lights, the heavy makeup, and the glamorous red carpet events lies a far more complex and deeply human reality. The pressure to maintain an immaculate appearance in front of the camera is an invisible but crushing weight that every performer carries from the moment they step into the public eye. It is an industry where a single perceived imperfection can feel like a career-defining flaw, driving even the most naturally charismatic individuals to seek desperate measures in pursuit of an unattainable ideal. This relentless scrutiny creates an environment where personal insecurities are magnified 1,000 times by the lens of the camera, turning private doubts into public anxieties that can dominate a person's life and choices. If you find these deep dives into the hidden realities of stardom fascinating, please take a quick moment to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming investigative features. The collective obsession with celebrity culture often blinds us to the fact that the icons we revere are, at their core, vulnerable individuals who deal with the exact same self-doubt and childhood traumas as anyone else. When we see a household name whose face has become synonymous with charm and classic good looks, it is almost impossible to imagine them standing in front of a mirror, filled with a deep sense of inadequacy. We forget that before they were famous, they were children navigating the cruel social hierarchies of schoolyards, where teasing can leave emotional scars that last a lifetime. These early experiences of being singled out or mocked for a physical trait do not simply vanish when fame arrives. Instead, they often fester beneath the surface, amplified by the sudden and overwhelming pressure of nationwide exposure. The sudden transition from an ordinary life to having one's face broadcast into millions of living rooms can act as a catalyst, transforming a lingering childhood insecurity into an urgent obsession to correct what they believe is holding them back from true acceptance. It is a psychological journey that many stars undergo, yet very few possess the courage to speak about it openly and honestly in hindsight, choosing instead to protect the illusion of natural perfection. To truly understand how deeply these insecurities can run, one must look at the culture of television in the late 20th century, an era when the visual standards for leading men were exceptionally rigid and unforgiving. The rise of daytime soap operas and primetime dramas created a new standard of male beauty, characterized by sharp features, flawless skin, and an undeniable symmetry that seemed almost manufactured. For a young actor trying to break into this highly competitive arena, the realization that every angle of their face would be scrutinized by directors, producers, and millions of passionate fans could be utterly overwhelming. This environment did not tolerate deviation from the accepted norm, and the constant feedback from industry professionals often reinforced the idea that physical perfection was the ultimate currency for survival in show business. It was within this high-stakes environment that a young, aspiring performer found himself grappling with the ghosts of his past and the immense demands of his present, setting the stage for a decision that would alter his life and appearance in ways he could never have anticipated. The journey from a self-conscious teenager to a television heartthrobs is paved with hidden struggles that the public rarely gets to witness until decades later. The story begins not under the glamorous lights of a Hollywood studio, but rather in the ordinary settings of youth, where a sudden and accidental mishap can change the trajectory of a person's self-image forever. Imagine a young boy, full of life and energy, suddenly facing a painful physical injury that leaves a permanent mark on his face, a literal and figurative scar that serves as a constant reminder of vulnerability. In this case, a stray golf club delivered a sudden, fracturing blow to a young nose, altering its natural shape and leaving behind a subtle reminder of the accident. While to the outside world such a minor imperfection might seem entirely inconsequential, to the growing boy, it became a focal point of intense self-consciousness. The playground can be a brutal environment, and children have an uncanny ability to identify and exploit any physical difference, no matter how slight. The cruel nicknames whispered in the hallways or shouted across the schoolyard possess a unique power to shape a young person's identity, embedding a deep-seated belief that they are somehow flawed or less than their peers. This psychological burden is carried silently, a heavy weight that does not lift even as the years pass, and the young man begins to find his footing in the world of acting. as the doors of the entertainment industry began to swing open. Offering a glittering path towards stardom and public recognition, the lingering doubts from those schoolyard days did not fade away, rather they grew more intense. Securing a coveted role on a major daytime television series like General Hospital in the early 1980s was an extraordinary achievement, a dream come true for any ambitious young actor looking to make his mark. It meant instant fame, a dedicated fan base, and the realization that his face would now be projected into countless households on a daily basis. Yet, instead of bringing total satisfaction and a sense of ultimate relief, this sudden wave of success acted as a giant magnifying glass, shining an unforgiving light directly on the very feature that had caused so much pain during his formative years. Every close-up shot, every promotional photograph, and every glance in the studio mirror became a confrontation with the past, as the memory of the cruel childhood nicknames resurfaced with a vengeance. The contrast between the confident character he portrayed on screen and the deeply insecure young man behind the role created a profound internal conflict. Making the urge to take control of his own appearance absolutely irresistible, the decision to undergo cosmetic surgery is rarely a simple one, particularly when a person is already in the public eye and their current face is precisely what helped them secure their big break. It requires a delicate balance of courage and desperation, driven by the belief that altering a single physical feature will finally unlock a sense of inner peace and complete confidence that has been missing for years. During a scheduled hiatus from the grueling production schedule of the television show, the young actor decided that the moment had arrived to finally address the source of his long-standing dissatisfaction. He chose to take matters into his own hands, seeking out a surgical procedure that promised to reshape his nose and eliminate the remnants of that childhood accident once and for all. It was a step taken with high hopes, an expectation that emerging from the recovery period would mark the beginning of a new chapter, free from the old anxieties that had plagued him for so long. However, the world of plastic surgery is fraught with unpredictability, and the results of a procedure do not always align with the idealized vision a patient carries into the operating room, leading to a shocking outcome that would force him to seek out an extraordinary solution from a legend's inner circle. The moment the surgical bandages are finally removed after a cosmetic procedure is always a time of immense psychological vulnerability, filled with a mixture of intense anticipation and deep-seated anxiety. For John Stamos, standing in front of the mirror during that fateful hiatus from General Hospital in the early 1980s, the reality that greeted him was far from the transformative relief he had envisioned. Instead of the perfect, masculine symmetry he had hoped would permanently silence the echoes of his childhood bullies, he was confronted with a look that felt completely foreign and deeply unsettling. His nose appeared excessively upturned, giving him an almost whimsical, cartoonish profile that he would later describe as resembling Peter Pan. Rather than fixing his perceived flaw, the operation had created an entirely new source of intense anxiety, leaving him feeling more self-conscious than ever before. For a rising television star whose livelihood depended heavily on his facial features, a botched medical procedure was not just a personal disappointment. It was a professional crisis of the highest magnitude. The fear of how producers, directors, and millions of devoted fans would react to this sudden, awkward alteration to his face began to weigh heavily on his mind, creating a sense of urgency that demanded an immediate solution. It was during this period of intense distress that Stamos realized he could not simply accept this outcome. He needed to find an absolute master of the craft to undo the damage and restore his confidence. In the glamorous but highly competitive world of Hollywood, whispers of exceptional talent travel quickly through the grapevine, especially when it comes to the highly secretive realm of cosmetic enhancement. To find someone capable of executing such a delicate revision, Stamos had to look toward the absolute pinnacle of the entertainment industry, specifically the medical professionals trusted by the biggest icons of the era. This quest for aesthetic salvation naturally led him to the doorstep of a renowned plastic surgeon who was already famous within elite circles for orchestrating some of the most talked-about physical transformations in pop culture history. This was the legendary specialist who had been tasked with sculpting the appearance of the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson, during the height of his Thriller era. The choice was clear. If this doctor could successfully navigate the incredibly complex and highly publicized evolution of Michael Jackson's unique features, he was surely the only one who could properly handle the intricate task of resculpting Stamos' nose. The connection between John Stamos and Michael Jackson's personal surgeon highlights a fascinating, highly secretive parallel in the entertainment industry of the late 20th century. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, Michael Jackson was undergoing a massive artistic and physical evolution that captivated the entire world. While the public watched in absolute awe as Jackson shattered musical records and redefined the music video medium with his legendary Thriller album, a parallel fascination emerged regarding his rapidly changing facial structure. Speculation ran rampant in the media, with commentators and fans alike microanalyzing every single photograph and television appearance to detect changes in the singer's jawline, cheekbones, and, most notably, his nose. Despite the undeniable visual evidence of a dramatic transformation over the years, Jackson remained fiercely private about his medical journey, publicly admitting to only 2 minor rhinoplasties early in his career alongside a procedure to create a distinct cleft chin. He frequently attributed the dramatic shifts in his appearance to the natural processes of puberty, strict dietary choices, and significant weight loss. However, the mystery surrounding his look only deepened after his tragic passing in 2009, when his mother, Katherine Jackson, openly shared her belief that her son had actually undergone far more cosmetic procedures than he had ever publicly acknowledged during his lifetime. This atmosphere of extreme secrecy surrounding plastic surgery was the standard operating procedure F, or celebrities of that golden era, making John Stamos' later transparency all the more extraordinary and refreshing. In those days, admitting to any form of cosmetic enhancement was considered an absolute taboo, a confession that could instantly shatter the carefully cultivated illusion of natural perfection that stars worked so hard to maintain. Celebrities routinely went to extreme lengths to hide their procedures, inventing elaborate cover stories involving deviated septums, accidental falls, or mysterious medical conditions to explain away sudden changes in their appearance. Stamos, however, chose to completely reject this culture of denial when reflecting on his past decades later in his poignant 2023 memoir, If You Would Have Told Me. With a level of candor that is exceedingly rare in show business, he openly admitted that his decision to alter his face was driven entirely by pure vanity and a desire to feel better about his looks. By discarding the usual face-saving excuses, he exposed the raw truth of how deeply the entertainment industry pressures its stars to conform to an impossible standard of physical beauty. Highlighting the extreme measures a young actor was willing to take to protect his rising career, the irony of the situation was certainly not lost on the young actor, who found himself navigating the high-stakes world of daytime television with a face that was literally under construction. With a sharp wit and a healthy dose of self-deprecating humor, Stamos would later joke about his rapid progression within the industry, noting that he hadn't even been a member of the General Hospital cast for a full year before graduating from the status of a youthful, wide-eyed newbie to becoming the double nose job guy. This ability to look back and laugh at the absurdity of his predicament underscores the resilience that would eventually define his long and successful career. Yet at the time, the tension was incredibly real as he prepared to undergo a secondary rhinoplasty, a procedure known among medical professionals to be infinitely more complex and risky than an initial operation due to the presence of scar tissue and altered nasal structures. The stakes could not have been higher. He was placing his face, his career, and his entire future into the hands of Michael Jackson's trusted specialist, desperately hoping that this high-profile gamble would finally deliver the symmetry and peace of mind he had been chasing since his traumatic schoolyard days. The secondary procedure, performed by the very surgeon who helped shape the visual identity of pop royalty, proved to be the turning point that John Stamos desperately needed. The intricate reconstructive work successfully corrected the overly upturned appearance left by the initial operation, restoring a natural balance and masculine symmetry to his face. This new look would soon become one of the most recognizable and beloved countenances on television, laying the physical foundation for the long, illustrious career that lay ahead of him. When Stamos finally returned to the set of General Hospital, the quiet anxiety that had plagued his thoughts began to dissipate, replaced by a renewed sense of self-assured confidence that immediately translated onto the screen. His performance as Blackie Parrish captivated audiences, turning him into a bona fide teenage heartthrob and proving that the high-stakes gamble had paid off. The young actor had managed to successfully navigate a potentially career-ending crisis, emerging with both his professional reputation and his self-esteem fully intact. Ready to take on the broader entertainment landscape, This crucial period of physical and emotional transformation set the stage for the definitive role that would permanently etch John Stamos into the annals of pop culture history. A few years after leaving the world of daytime soap operas, he landed the iconic role of Uncle Jesse Katsopoulos on the hit sitcom Full House, a character whose very identity was built around undeniable charm, effortless cool, and an unwavering obsession with his own perfectly styled hair and striking good looks. The immense irony, of course, was that the character celebrated for his absolute aesthetic confidence was portrayed by a man who had spent years battling deep-seated insecurities regarding his own appearance. On the set of Full House, alongside cast members like his close lifelong friend Bob Saget and Lori Loughlin, Stamos radiated a magnetic charisma that defined a television era. The show became a global phenomenon, and Uncle Jesse became a cultural touchstone for generations of viewers who viewed him as the ultimate symbol of cool. Completely unaware of the complex medical journey and childhood vulnerabilities that existed just beneath that flawless surface, the passing of time often brings a profound sense of perspective, allowing individuals to look back at the chaotic choices of their youth with a mixture of wisdom, compassion, and refreshing honesty. Decades after the frantic days of his double rhinoplasty, Stamos' decision to lay bare this deeply personal narrative in his 2023 memoir, If You Would Have Told Me, served as a powerful moment of catharsis. It also offered a poignant connection to the broader theme of mortality and friendship. Coming at a time when he was openly processing the tragic loss of his dear friend and co-star, Bob Saget. Sharing the truth about his past was not merely about clearing the air. It was a profound realization that the perfection the world demands from celebrities is an illusion, and that true peace comes from accepting one's vulnerabilities rather than hiding behind a carefully constructed mask. By opening up about the cruel childhood bullying that labeled him Big Nose Stamos and detailing his subsequent reliance on Michael Jackson's elite surgeon, he chose to humanize himself in a way that resonated deeply with fans who faced their own everyday battles with self-image. Ultimately, the journey of John Stamos is a compelling testament to the complex realities of fame and the human cost of living under constant public observation. It serves as a stark reminder that the glamorous icons we see on television are often fighting silent battles against the exact same insecurities that affect ordinary people every day. The pressure to conform to a rigid standard of beauty can drive even the most naturally talented individuals to seek extraordinary solutions in the most unexpected places. Yet, it is not the surgical adjustments or the pursuit of flawless symmetry that truly defines a person's legacy. Rather, it is their resilience, their talent, and their ultimate willingness to stand before the world and speak their truth with absolute candor. Stamos' evolution from a self-conscious young boy into a celebrated television legend who can openly laugh at his own past vanities shows that true confidence is not something that can be manufactured by a surgeon's scalpel, but is a quality that must be earned through a lifetime of experience, self-discovery, and genuine self-acceptance. Looking back at the entire trajectory of this remarkable story, we can see how the hidden chapters of a celebrity's life add a profound depth to their public persona. The image of the effortlessly handsome star is enriched by the knowledge of the obstacles he had to overcome, both physical and psychological, to maintain his place in an unforgiving industry. His transparency breaks down the artificial barriers that often separate Hollywood stars from their audience, offering a comforting message that it is entirely acceptable to be flawed, to make mistakes, and to seek help when trying to find your footing in the world. By connecting his own personal struggles with the larger-than-life narrative of Michael Jackson's aesthetic journey, Stamos created a fascinating bridge between two distinct eras of pop culture, shedding light on a secretive world that has long captivated the public imagination. In the end, his story is less about the pursuit of physical perfection and far more about the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome adversity, reclaim its narrative, and find lasting fulfillment far beyond the fleeting glare of the Hollywood spotlight.